Alexander Kara is with us tonight, an expert at Strategy Defense Center. Hello, Alexander.
Hello, how are you?
Well, lovely. I'm alive. That's something these days already. Um, that was a second question, but I will slide it to the first one. Well, were you surprised by Trump's win?
Well, it was not out of the blue.
Hmm.
We followed the opinion polls from the battleground states, and certainly it was obvious that two candidates are shoulder to shoulder. They were just with the just a number of margin between them. So it was obvious that someone is going to win, and there is a highly likely chance for Mr. Trump to get that. The other thing that we were surprised the how the Republicans have made in the Congress. So they took over the Senate, and they have pretty good majority in the House.
Surprise is not the proper term for me, but some people in Ukraine and abroad, they tell me that it is good for Ukraine because actually Trump is the only one who acts. Because what Democrats do, they just cede grounds to any opposing force. With this time, Trump. And Trump was the one who propagated and who delivered the decision to deliver the lethal weapons for Ukraine. And money from Johnson also followed after Trump's pressure. So, do you personally think? I know this is too easy and too simple, breaking it like that, but maybe you can emotionally say, is Trump good or bad, do you think, for Ukraine? I know we have to wait and see.
Well,
I
first,
know.
yeah, sure. First of all, the Ukrainians survived the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, all those atrocities, and the war with Russia since 2014. So we have no other choice but to be optimistic about our fate, our sovereignty, and about beloved state. And yes, there are some sympathizers of Mr. Trump and his ideas, and they believe that he is capable of bringing peace to Ukraine. And for sure, he is the one who is not going to be shy to kick the Russians in some instances. For example, he will unleash the energy sector of the United States and flood in the American and foreign markets with the American oil, and then rapprochement with MBS in Saudi Arabia would do the same, and it means that less money would have put in for his war efforts in Ukraine. And there are some other good ideas that Trump is going to implement right away after he's in office. But from the other hand, what we heard from him personally and from G.D. Vance, the vice president elect, and some other people around Trump are not encouraging us. And I believe that it's let's say, challenge for Ukraine to reshape this thinking and
Right.
to rely on European partners to convey that it's not going to work, it's not going to fly with regard to Ukraine, because this war is not about territory. It's about the very existence of Ukraine, and it's
Absolutely.
about the security architecture in Europe. So I believe that we can we face challenges. I mean, with Mr. Trump and his
Mm,
ideas. At the same time, there are some windows of opportunity we can explore. And yes, you're right that the Biden administration did a tremendous job supporting Ukraine, but they fall short defining
exactly.
Ukrainian victory. They fall short supporting this definition of victory, and certainly they were paralyzed by the fear of escalation from Russia, while Russia was escalating each and every time. So
Exactly.
the decisive mood and the character of Mr. Trump may play a positive role for Ukraine if we manage.
Mm,
When I say we, I mean not just Ukraine but our
right, right.
partners and our friends and allies within the U.S. Congress and the expert society and ordinary Americans. So we can pursue Mr. Trump and his bakers that it's in the interest of the United States to continue supporting Ukraine.
Amen to that. And the last question for tonight, China. Xi Jinping called first to congratulate Mr. Trump. Do you believe this is a sign of sorts?
He understand that it's going to be a difficult relations with the incoming administration as it was before, because Mr. Trump unleashed huge tariff barriers and sanctions and a lot of other things, and he see China taking advantage of over the American companies, businesses, and certainly Trump, even though he said that. That Taiwan is not that important. He didn't say that the United States are going to fight for Taiwan in case China decides to invade. But for sure, people around Trump would form his foreign in the security policy to deter China from moving such a doing such a step. So Xi Jinping was doing the right thing just to congratulate this the head of the one of the largest and one of the most powerful states in terms of the military and economy and technology and finance. And certainly he thinks that there is a possibility to have a great bargain with Trump, because he failed to do this with Joe Biden. He once said that the world is enough for two nations to share and to strive. And Joseph Biden rejected this proposal because the Democrats are not in mood to restore spheres of influence. They've been talking about the principle or international system based on norms and principles. The Mr. Trump is a bit of different kind, and he may think in these categories, but I'm not sure that Americans would agree on such a thing like
Right,
dividing the world
right.
into two poles.
Well, some things are really encouraging about his cabinet as well. Susie Wiles, for example, and Mike Pompeo as maybe becoming a Secretary of Defense, which is absolutely astonishing for Ukraine, some people say. And these people are very influential people in the United States. I've been talking to them. So you're absolutely right that we just have to wait and see what happens, because things that are Trump talking and Trump acting are two different personalities, if you ask me. Do you agree?
Well, yes, for sure, and we've seen it before on many occasions with Trump and with the
There
candidates
we
for
go.
the highest office in the United States. They may propose some ideas, but then they face realities. Because if you're talking about in both cases, in China, in Russia, they will face different actors, not just Russia and Ukraine, but European partners in our case, and the allies of the United States in the region, I mean, South Korea, Japan, Australia, India, and the United Kingdom. So they will shape their strategy taking into account all those factors. It's for sure. But we should wait and see how the new cabinet will be staffed with which people. And certainly, we've seen that when for the first cadency of Mr. Trump, was a bit chaotic, and he replaced a lot of figures on the go. So it's going to happen once again with this administration. But anyway, we will see the names of the key positions, and then we can understand the way of thinking of those people, what they are going to advise to Mr. Trump,
Hmm.
what they are going to draw, what kind of decisions they are going to draw for him to take. And we will see how the Chinese and the Russians would react on
Right.
those strategies.
By the way.
So it's far from being settled that Mr. Trump would be able to stop this war in 24 hours in Ukraine, or just to restrain China and to establish a new modus operandi with this economic giant.
Well, I hope that we see, and I hope we have more commands of you as an expert of what is going on, because certainly turmoil in Europe and turmoil in politics, but it doesn't matter. It will end up bad for Ukraine. Let's wait and see. And thank you so very much so far.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We talk soon. Goodbye.